Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. All right, so reports coming out of Europe. Um, this week, it was announced that the UK, England's GDP has declined by the most that it has declined in over 300 years. Now, I want you to think about this 300 years. And that was before the American Revolution. Um, what has happened with England in 300 years? Uh, they have gone through the expense and the loss of trade that has been related to the American Revolution, the War of 1812, the loss of their control over India, their colonization there, loss of control over African colonies, apartheid, um, World War One, World War Two, the 2008 financial crash, which affected them, the internet bubble, which affected them, the pandemic of 2020. And yet, right now, they're going through a worse recession than any of that. Meanwhile, France announced yesterday their French citizens were told that their utility bills, their electric bills, are going to be increasing by 100 euros per kilowatt hour. Now, I've pointed out in the past, I work at night, I've been traveling, and yet I don't use many utilities. My lights are LED lighting. Um, you can probably hear my fan running in the background to avoid running the air conditioner very much, and yet I use over a kilowatt hour per month. Even though for the last year and a half I've been traveling for work, so I've been gone a lot, and yet I use over a kilowatt hour per month. So, and that's living alone. So, 100 euros per kilowatt hour. Now, that would increase my electric bill by $100 a month. Their and yet their utility bills in France have risen by 700% in 1 year. 700%. So consider if you were paying only 100 euros a month last year, this year you're going to be paying 700 euros a month. And that's before the additional 100 euros. That's before all of that. In addition to that, um, France has also announced that they are suffering the worst drought that they have experienced in over 500 years. People in Europe are, if you think that American utility and energy prices are high and gas prices are high, you got nothing on the Europeans. Anyway, so they have already been struggling with buying food, paying their utilities. Most Europeans are in fear of being able to heat their homes this winter. They're talking, Norway has refused to put a price cap on natural gas that they are exporting to Europe, which there's really only a limited number of places that they can export that can receive that natural gas from Norway. But 20 years ago, the European Union decided that they did not want to go with contracted prices for natural gas. They wanted to go with the market price. Well, now they're going to be paying that price. Now, you can't blame Norway for wanting to do this. It's in their own financial interest. Now they're being told, well, you need to show solidarity. No, they don't. These actions, these sanctions that have caused these things, they put one European country against another. There's a lot of countries that are asking for exemptions from the Russian gas embargo, which is supposed to take place. A complete embargo on Russian gas is supposed to be in place October 1st. October 1st. So that complete embargo has not even taken place yet. And their utilities are already, their utilities, their electric bills are up 700%. I have no idea. I don't know how much their gas prices are up, the natural gas. Their fuel prices have been like $8 a liter. Compare a liter to, roughly a quart. You're talking about like $24 a gallon, $24 to $32 a gallon for gas. And now, if they put a price cap on utilities and gas prices, how is that going to work? They still have to pay the providers of the fuel that goes into these things. That money has to come from somewhere. Now, they could nationalize their energy production, but you're still going to be paying for the fuel to keep those utilities going. Of course, most of it is going through corporations, even across Europe. Their utilities, gas, electricity, water, etc., are not nationalized. Now, as stated before, European industries are shutting down. People are being laid off. And, I mean, how well are these sanctions working? Not so good. It's not just oil and natural gas, where Russia continues to expand trade. Egypt has contracted to build a nuclear power plant. They did not choose a French company to build the plant. They did not choose a German company. They did not choose an American company to build the nuclear power plant. They chose a Russian company. Russia had to subcontract for turbines and equipment, and they didn't choose a German company or a French company or an American company. Siemens, headquarters in Germany and with a lot of operations in Canada, is the world's largest, but they contracted with a South Korean company. Sure, South Korea said, "Yeah, we'll take that." So how well are these sanctions working? The equipment for that is not under sanction, and these things are not under sanction. People can't afford to feed themselves. They can't afford to heat their homes. Industries are shutting down. If you take a look at the stock market today, the U.S. stock market today, it is down by over 600 points. Now, there's a question about that. Does this have to do with what's going on in Europe? Or does it have to do with the student loan forgiveness that's going on? I've pointed out in the past, in 2018, when Trump announced that employment was up, wages were up. The following day, the stock market plunged by 800 points. So one would think that the announcement of student loan forgiveness would be a good thing for the stock market if the stock market was tied to the real world, because these people that have been paying on these student loans, they're going to have more money to spend, more consumer spending. That should be doing some good. Nope. Now, first of all, I'm going to say that this does some minor good, but this only accounts for 1/6 of student loans. Some people are claiming, well, this helps the wealthy. Well, first of all, this is means tested. If you make over $125,000 a year, then you're not eligible for that forgiveness. Okay, so it's means tested. And let's face the fact, the wealthier you are, the less, either to a certain level of wealth, income, you can afford to pay your student loans. And second, the more wealthy you are, the less likely you are to have any student loans to begin with. Although the wealthy are invested in the banks that issue the loans. So they don't find this a positive thing because they're going to lose out on long-term interest on these loans. It's just like I pointed out, the wealthy don't find the increase in utility bills, gas prices, and so forth to be a bad thing. It barely impacts them personally, except for the fact that they are invested in the oil and energy companies. So when prices go up, they make money. Meanwhile, any personal financial benefit that this may offer is really going to be limited and offset by the fact that we're experiencing extremely high inflation, the worst in at least 40 years. Rent is up, utilities are up, gas prices have come down from their peak, but still much higher than they were last year. Vehicle repossessions are up. The average vehicle payment in America today is something like $700 a month. A poll that was taken a couple of months ago of people that make over $100,000 a year said that 76% of them are living paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, 51% of employers in the United States, in a poll taken in the last couple of weeks, 51% of employers in the United States are laying people off right now, or are planned to within the next few weeks. Apple is laying off. Microsoft is laying off. Tesla is laying off. Netflix is laying off. You know, all of this impacts small businesses, all the inflation and everything. It makes it harder for small businesses to survive. If you own a small business and your small business goes under, what is your choice? You're going to become a worker. You're going to be working for wages. Meanwhile, any additional, consumer spending. Now, yeah, this is forgiving the student loans does decrease the profits from the banks, but you increase consumer spending. Where are the students, the people that held those loans? Where are they most likely to be spending that money? Well, at corporate retailers and service providers. So you might take the money away from the corporate banks, but you're just diverting that money over to other corporations making profits. So the money is still flowing to the top. Yeah, it makes a small pit stop along the way that helps people to buy food, but with the inflation, they're even able to buy less food. So, is this any good? I've pointed out the European economy, the American economy, the South American economy, the Russian economy, the Chinese economy, all of it is tied together. And no nationalization isn't going to work. If we could produce everything that we need, then we wouldn't be importing everything. If you stop trading with other countries, what happens is that the dollar becomes devalued against other currencies, and it winds up costing you more to buy things from other countries. And since things in Europe, now industries are shutting down, there's less that we can import from there. With people being laid off in Europe, there is less to import, less to export to Europe because nobody can afford it. That includes goods and services. What we are seeing is the inevitable collapse of capitalism. It was bound to happen at some point. It's been predicted for well over 150 years that this was going to happen, and we've seen it come close a number of times. You have to start looking at things as connected. You have to see it that way. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, which fewer and fewer people can, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign. And I will catch you in the next one.